Welcome to the Software Process and Measurement Cast number 724. I'm Tom Cagley, your host. Today, we feature an interview with Indus Khaitan, founder and CEO of Quolum. A few of the topics we covered include: why do organizations need to help in consuming SaaS at scale effectively? How can looking carefully at how you are using SaaS save organizations tons of money? How can organizations refocus on delivering value rather than on overhead? What does it take to take a vision and make it a going concern more than once? Indus is the founder of Quolum. Quolum helps companies manage their SaaS spend. He started Bitzer Mobile, a mobile security startup that Oracle acquired. Earlier, he led a group at Chargebee. He lives in San Francisco. Are you ready to talk change, SaaS spend, and entrepreneurship? It's time for the interview. Indus Khaitan, welcome to the Software Process and Measurement Cast.
Great coming on board. Nice chatting with you.
I'm looking forward to this conversation, and hopefully I'm going to ask you some questions that you haven't heard before, but yeah, who knows? Okay, so before we dive in, you run a company that in essence is a service to help people do SaaS better in terms of cost and things. Before we dive into all of that good stuff and how that impacts organizations, why don't we start and just make sure that everybody's on the same page? What is SaaS?
SaaS is nothing but a delivery model for software. If you compare that to the legacy software, which is, hey, I have bits on my CD, I put it on my laptop or my desktop, click on the install button, and it runs on my laptop or desktop. SaaS turns it around. You don't download the bits, you don't insert a CD, you go online, click on a button, sign me up, and the bits are delivered in real time as web pages on the internet. That's software as a service.
Somebody else owns it, somebody else bills you for it.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, I had Illustrator on my laptop, and I bought a copy of it. Now I buy the right to use it every month. Again, I always like to start real basic, just in case some of the listeners don't have a handle on what these things really mean. Why is SaaS at scale important?
Software, you'll be surprised, has not been cheap. Of course, we are inside the ecosystem. We are inside the software and IT ecosystem. For us, software is, software. Yeah, I use it every day. But if you talk to people outside, software used to be very expensive. I'll give you a very simple example. Microsoft Office. Go to Costco, buy a CD for $150 pop, and then you use it. Now you can go online and buy a Microsoft Office for $10 a month. So basically, it turns the delivery model or the business model and makes availability of software at scale. Hence, that topic of SaaS at scale becomes super important.
When you say that Quolum helps help organizations effectively consume SaaS, use SaaS, how does it actually effectively help that happen?
Great question. So if you see what's happening, the dark side of SaaS is people end up buying a lot because it has become so easy that you don't have to hop into a store, plop a CD in, click on install, and keep the software running. You just go online and say, hey, I want to try this piece of software, take your credit card out, and then boom, within 30 seconds, you get up and running. That resulted into hundreds of products being bought. And, proverbially, this is equivalent to you going out to a grocery store with your wife and say, oh, I need this, I need that. And you buy a bunch of things that you'll never consume, put it in the refrigerator, only to realize at the end of 30 days, oh, Jesus, we should have never bought this. And you end up trashing them. What if somebody tells you as a guide saying, oh, but you don't eat that. You did not eat it last month. You already have three different types of squashes you're going to cook in a week. Are you sure you need three squashes in a week? And that's what we do as a business. We help companies right size, buy SaaS in an effective way. Do not buy the products you already have. If you have bought something, make sure you use it. If you do not use it, cancel that out. If you have 100 people employee, 100 people team, 30 people are never using it, cancel those accounts. So we right size the software infrastructure for them, save a bunch of money, and enable them to buy what they're going to use.
I spent the early part of this year working with a client that had a department and a whole bunch of programmers that were working on managing software licenses for all 65,000 of their people. Why can't they just do it themselves? Why do they need somebody else?
Well, the question is two parts. If you look at the engineers, they need a quick fix many times for a solution. So they would say, oh, I just need this piece of software, go online and buy and get the fix done, or fix in their minds. And what has also happened is today in the remote world, buying became decentralized. So if you remember, if you go back in time, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, if you needed a piece of software, you would send a ticket to your IT department and they would buy things for you. Today, hey boss, I need this DevOps tool to make my life easy. Can I? Boss is like, okay, go buy it. It's $40 a month. That creates a problem.
I also suspect that the fact that they had a whole department of people doing this, and they still do the IT ticket thing, that is probably not terribly efficient. And I do suspect that they actually had a few Microsoft Excel spreadsheets involved in that. So, that probably not the most efficient solution. Let's say people go down the path of outsourcing this kind of activity, this kind of work to an organization like you. How do you see that changing organizations' behavior?
I think in part, organizations' behavior has changed in buying the what we call as best of breed products for my job to get done. If you compare this with the IT department that we just chatted about, it was never about best of the breed product. It was about best of the breed vendor. And that's the nuance there. If you needed something, they'll say, oh, let me call, nothing against them. Let me call Oracle. Let me call Microsoft. Let me call IBM. Hey, Mr. IBM or Miss IBM, do you have this solution for which we need help with? And IBM will always come up with that. Day has passed us. Now you say, oh, I need this solution. Let's find the vendor who's doing absolutely amazing, pay them $50, $100 a month and get that on board. So that behavior has already changed. Now at scale, it doesn't work because hundreds of people looking for hundreds of different best of the breed products. So you need expertise. And that expertise is not available readily in an organization. So we come in as experts. We can say, hey, what are you looking for? What do you already have? And we will help you decide. We will help you get the best commercials from the vendor, best price for the features that you're looking for. So we basically build that centralized expertise in buying, helping people buy the software products.
I think we both know how dynamic and the marketplace is for solutions, whether they're SaaS or anything else. How does an organization like yours actually keep up with what the best of breed is so that you can give that advice and then figure out how to work with them to get the best commercials?
So we do it two ways. One is continuously keep an eye on the market in terms of what products are coming out. And that's kind of lagging than leading. The leading piece is we have hundreds of customers to work with. someone would say, oh, I need this piece of software. And it is likely that we may not have encountered this. So we go out, spend time, research this, build our own database, and then keep layering on top after the first procurement of for that particular customer. What was it like? What were the terms like? What was the software like? And then when the second request comes, we have already built that muscle. And with the second request becomes stronger and stronger over a period of time. So it's the scale across multiple purchases that makes us better.
You're a serial entrepreneur. You've started any number of firms. If you look through your LinkedIn pedigree, it's long and varied. Just because I know some of my listeners are always interested in pursuing those kind of dreams, how'd you just how'd you decide to get here? But how do you target where you're actually going to start your next firm at?
I think I never thought I want to start this particular business from the get-go. It has always been random, serendipitous conversations with people, bumping into folks in the industry and looking at problem space. I'll give you one example. So my previous startup, it was in mobile security space. And we basically built a business where companies and the executives of the companies were not able to access corporate data on their iPhone. And if you remember 2007, 2008, iPhone came out and then iPad came out. Every executive would say, I don't want my BlackBerry. I need iPhone to have my email. How can I access my corporate documents not on my BlackBerry, but on my iPhone? And IT department, and I'm talking about IT again, would say, hey, cancel that. iPhone is not supported because it's not secure and it's a new device and this and that. We found that as an opportunity when talking to a few folks and say, hey, can we do something to enable access to the corporate intranet and email on iPhone without violating security policies? And we did something. I'm an engineer, so we thought, hey, we could hack this, we could write code, we could make a contraption of a few things. So me and my co-founder came up with this idea, and then we just built a quick solution in a couple of months, showed it to a few prospects, and they say, yep, this looks like interesting. And then we build a business on top of it. And that's how my life has been. Hey, figure out there's a gap in the market or a problem that I struggle with. Can we solve it? Why has nobody solved it? Can it be solved better? And then just keep working on it and find a solution, build a business, get some venture capital, and see if we could get more customers to use it.
So on another podcast, I actually heard the genesis story of Quolum, and it seems to follow that same pattern, right? You found something that was you found wrong, right? The whole idea of spreadsheets to manage this SaaS stuff, and then you struck out into another area. When you give advice to people who are going down that path, how many times do you actually see people fall too much in love with their vision, their idea, and not pivot fast enough?
I think it's a double-edged sword. On one side, you want people to fall in love with their vision and ideas, because then you become obsessed. You cannot stop thinking about it, but you have to be rational about it, saying, hey, I'm obsessed with this, but is there a market for this? If you, I forget the name of the movie where the character fancies about making a torch, which, flick of a finger and the torch lights up. He became obsessed with that idea, but is that idea a mass market product? I think that's the fine line. So as an entrepreneur, you want to be obsessed with the idea, but you want to be wrong with that so that you don't make a mistake of going through the wrong path and building a product and attempting to find customers, but there are none. So many times founders and entrepreneurs pivot, but many times they get, sucked into the vacuum of that idea, and then they waste the opportunity cost of 3 to 4 years working on it without any end game. So I don't want to say, hey, don't get obsessed with the idea, but be very practical about it.
How can you be obsessed and pragmatic at the same time?
I think talking to people who are your potential customers, and the way you do it is by not talking to people you already
Oh,
know.
come on. I'm
I'll,
just going to talk to all my friends and my family because they'll
yeah,
always tell me the truth.
yeah. They love you. They want you to succeed. They will never tell you what the market wants. They will always tell you what you want.
Mm.
And that's the fine line. In fact, in our case, when I started reaching out to folks, I very, very meticulously did not reach out to anybody on my LinkedIn who was my first degree. So we sell to finance, CFOs, director of finance, and finance department. I reached out to hundreds of people in my second degree on my LinkedIn. Of course, not everybody responded, but the people who responded absolutely tore the idea apart or say, give me a proverbial middle finger that, hey, this sucks. And that helped us chisel where we are today in the last 2.5 years of our journey.
Mm. As an engineer, and a lot of my listeners are in the engineering fields. So you came from that. At what point as a founder do you step away from being that engineer, or do you still have your hands in the code telling people what it should be doing?
I no longer have my hands in the code. I wrote parts of the first version of the product at Quolum um, a couple of years ago, and then soon realized I'm old, I suck, I have bugs. I make poor choices. I make fast decisions, not sustainable. So I started stepping away. I still ran the engineering team for considerable amount of time, and then found a person who was much better than me, and then handed off to him. He runs it independently. He and I touch base on a weekly basis. So you got to step away someday because you want to focus on other aspects of the business: sales, marketing, customer success, product design. And if you are writing code all day long, it's good to write code in the early journey because then you're grounded. You can see the elements of the product coming, but you got to quickly figure out a way to transition out. And I think I rightly did when I realized that I'm not being good at it.
Yeah, I tell people you really wouldn't want me to write code anymore. But, I can read it on occasion, at least
Yes.
some of those languages. But, the whole idea, right? The whole idea of people in the technical world, some of them want to be technical forever. Some of them want to, step out and become entrepreneurs at some point. It's an interesting transition to see. And I think the people that at least I talk to, when I talk to entrepreneurs, the ones that do well find that place that they can step away and give it up. Do you still act as product owner? Are you the person that goes out and, or at least helps find what's next? What are the next features? Those sorts of things, or have you pivoted away from that and just as the visionary?
I still am the product owner. I am not dropping that ball anytime soon, don't intend to. And there's a reason why. And it depends on the jacket that the entrepreneur wears every day. I'm a product jacket. I think about what my customers want. I think I have the domain knowledge of the product that we're building. So until the time I find someone who is better product person than me, I'm not going to give the jacket to him or her. And I've known entrepreneurs who are sales masters and they have found somebody to run product on day one. They are the vision guy, say, hey, I want the world to be painted in yellow. Go paint it. And they build the brush and the canvas and everything else. I'm there as a vision, but I still think in terms of what the features should be. So still donning that and still run with the product on a daily basis. In fact, I have a product stand up every day, 4 days in a week.
Excellent. Excellent. Good to hear. As someone that's so intimately involved in sort of the evolution of the product, running of the company, and anyone who's run even a small company knows that that's its own level of complexity. What do you see as, the thing that you'll have to give up next so that you can grow the organization?
I recently gave up sales last month, so I'll give you the context. We started sales in our own journey in February this year, and I was doing the outreach. I was the SDR in that language. I was the account executive doing demos, and I was the VP of sales closing these deals. So like a single man show doing sales. And then the product market fit happened. The adoption, took off. More customers started engaging, and that's when I realized I won't be able to handle it. We also had a lot of inbound from India, customers in India, because of one of our investors are based out of there. And then I realized that this has to be farmed out very quickly. Otherwise, everything else is going to suffer. So we got two people to head this, one in North America, one in India. So that baton has been passed on. And similarly, I'm actually looking forward to hand off the day-to-day product building to someone else. As soon as I find that person, he becomes the product owner, and I become his buddy who kind of whispers in his ear or her ear, say, hey, go build this, rather than me running the show on a daily basis.
When you created a product that, in essence, I think simplified the whole management of SaaS and the how to consolidate that, create that single stack, or at least a more efficient stack. How did purchasing in organizations, especially large organizations, that I think wouldn't they feel like you were treading on their toes?
Yes and no. So if you look at purchasing, and we have had our own mix of success and failures in our sales momentum. So many departments would say, oh, glad that you're here because we don't know anything about this marketing tool the department wants us to buy or wants them to buy. And rightly so, it's say, all right, we will take it on. We will work with the vendor. We will get the commercials and you sign the contract. And the yang of this has also happened saying, but you would ultimately replace us, right? Because this is our job. Now, luckily, in the last 5 years, the growth of tech, the growth of businesses have happened at a so fast clip in 25-30% year over year. Everybody's hands are full. They've bought a lot, they've been busy, not just software, but people, vendors, agencies, real estate, facilities, all of that has happened. So procurement and purchasing has been busy across the board, where they think now, oh, high tech software is not my cup of coffee. Let me pass that to someone who knows this. So kind of mixed bag in terms of responses from purchasing.
Speaking of cup of coffee, if you woke up tomorrow morning, somebody handed you a magic wand and your caffeinated beverage of choice and said that you had the power to change any two things impacting the SaaS market, what would those two things be and why?
I think one thing still kind of bothers me, how much of a time it takes customers to onboard a software. And I'm not talking about the smaller tools. So let's say you bought a seat of Notion, which is, collaboration, note-taking tool, very popular, and we are high tech. It's going to take us an hour to understand and onboard, not difficult. My wife is non-tech. If I tell her, hey, go buy Notion, start using it, it'll take her 3 to 4 hours to figure that out. And we take this onboarding, us being IT, I'm just putting all of us in this cohort, us being IT, say, yeah, I know it. There's the sign up button. You create an account, you put your credit card number. This is my username and password. I need to create a document. This plus button means create a document. This recycle button means, yep, the document will be deleted or it'll be saved in trash. So many of these artifacts are still not very much on the face and well understood by non-tech. I think a very long journey there. And I'll give you the analogy, let's take our cars that we drive. We pretty much know what's going to happen. It's standardized. You have 3 pedals in the front. If you're driving in a stick shift market, 2 pedals if non-stick shift, and I've got a wheel to control and a couple of buttons here and there. You change, you go to Hertz, you pick up a different car, 90% of the controls are very similar. That's not the case with software. You choose from Notion to Evernote, Evernote to, Apple Notes. You still have to learn it all over again. So I think this standardization is like a magic wand. I would love to wave someday and solve it. And the second is also very related is data. And this is for us. The first is for non-tech. The second is for us as technical people. If I want to take my data out to port it from, let's say, Notion to Evernote, it's impossible. It's my data. Why can't I transparently take it out? So there's lack of standardization. I remember, back 15 years ago, there's this government body called NIST. And they standardized a lot of these processes in the real world. They have done such a poor job on technology. Although, they used to do some bits and pieces around technology. So I think we have to start standardizing interfaces, standardizing data for, run-of-the-mill user behavior. If I could wave the magic wand, and those are the two on top of my mind, I would standardize some of these interfaces between, how a user interacts with a collaborative, a piece of software or a note-taking application, how difficult it is. It's pretty standard to create a document, right? Why there's 2 different ways of doing it.
Well, if those 2 things happen, you would see me doing my happy dance. As someone who works with a lot of different clients and then ends up using their software, it's like Evernote over here, this over here, Azure DevOps over here, Jira, it's and each one is fundamentally different in terms of the way the UX is. And porting data from ServiceNow to Jira or to Azure, yeah.
Forget about it.
Well, unfortunately, people don't forget about it, and they sit there and they have whole teams writing software to do it, when it would be really nice for them to be doing something else that derived value for their organization. But so, yes, please get that magic wand. Please do it. Indus, this has been absolutely marvelous. It's been a fun conversation. We've covered a lot of ground and a number of different topics that I think are interesting to my listeners. How would people find out about you, about Quolum?
Very easy. Indus Khaitan, my name. Google it. I think I am second or third search results. It's kind of a unique combination of those 2 first name and last names. I'm on LinkedIn. Fantastic. Connect up there. Quolum, that's a company I work for. Quolum. Google, Quolum.com. That's where I am.
Who would be your target market if you were to say, Tom, your listeners, here are the people that I would love my salespeople, because you're not doing that now, to talk to. Who would those people be?
We sell to finance. So we sell to companies that are between 10 million to 150 million in revenue and have bought a lot of SaaS in the last 5 years without realizing, couple of million in the south to 5 million in the north. So we come in, we help you reclaim and use that cash for other projects. Many companies that work with us have saved 25 to 30%. So imagine you're a $3 million SaaS spend. You could take away $500,000 to $1 million and use it to give iPhones to every employee in your organization. That's what we can do.
Okay, super. At this point in the podcast, I open up the platform for you to promote anything that you'd like. Obviously, you might want to promote the company, whatever, but the platform's yours.
Yeah. So again, my name is Indus Khaitan. We help companies save money on SaaS, 25-30% easy from your millions of dollars. So find us on the internet, Indus Khaitan or Quolum.com. We can help you save money.
Super. We'll have those links in the show notes. Indus, this has been absolutely marvelous. Thank you for spending your early morning or mid-morning with the Software Process and Measurement Cast listeners.
All right. Thank you, Tom. Have a fantastic weekend ahead.
In Reread Saturday News, this week we reread Chapter 11 of Coaching Agile Teams by Lissa Atkins. Chapter 11, Agile Coach Failure, Recovery, and Success Modes, begins Part 3 of Coaching Agile Teams. Part 3 is titled Getting More for Yourself. Chapter 11 hits the topic of failure head-on, sharing both failure and success modes. Anyone that's been in the business of Agile coaching for more than a few years and has pushed the boundaries of culture will have failures on their CV. A coach without experience is a trainee. A wide range of experience, which opens the door to successes and failures, is a learning opportunity that classics and webinars can't deliver. Remember, buy a copy of Coaching Agile Teams by Lissa Atkins and read along. A quick logistics notes. We will combine the discussion of the last two chapters of this book next week, and then after that, do a recap. Then we'll dive into Extraordinary Badass Agile Coaching. Use the link in the show notes. Go out and buy yourself a copy and read along. Links in the show notes to all of the books we've done in Reread Saturday and to all of the entries in Lissa Atkins' Coaching Agile Teams. In the next Software Process and Measurement Cast, number 725, we will delve deeper into the concept of neglected WIP, highlighting the calculation and a quick case study so that you can see this in action. We'll also have a visit from Jeremy Berrio from the QA Corner. If process improvement is a never-ending journey, why do so many people ask, are we there yet?